Welcome to r/NuclearRevenge. It's a place where we share stories of all forms of extreme revenge. Thank you guys for subscribing, likes, and supporting in the comments. The first story, boss wanted to get rid of me, but he will have a lot of problems. The second story, my boss lowered my pay, so we'll meet in court. On to the first story. Some father-son bonding time. What a joy. Dad and son filing lawsuits ruins another father-son relationship. Back when I was still in university, I used to work for a hotel to make ends meet. When I started, the hotel very urgently needed new personnel, so I cut a deal with the old owner about getting to choose and pick shifts so I could visit my courses and exams. Speaking some extra foreign languages, I also got a little bonus each month on top. The old owner was a great guy. He owned multiple hotels, so I rarely saw him. But when he was in the house, he always made a point to have drinks with the staff, chat with us, and if we were free, he even invited those at the front desk to fancy restaurants who were not on shift. Fast forward, I had worked in the hotel for a few years now and was nearing the completion of my studies, so it wouldn't have been an eternity until I had to quit anyway, as I was of course more interested to work in my field of study. As part of my deal with the old owner, I mostly chose to work night shifts, allowing me to visit my courses at university during the day. To make up for my privileges, I had picked up the habit of doing some extra work in the dead of night other shifts would normally have to do, when I, on contrast, could have sat around and stared at the walls. People were grateful for the help in the beginning, and we became a rather tight-knit group, but over time, people rotated in and out. When the old owner retired and his a-hole of a son took over the business as the new owner, I already feared the worst. The new owner didn't like me very much. I never found out the exact reason for that one. I was at that point nearly the sole veteran left from when I started. Among the tasks I had taken on was doing light clerical tasks to ease the manager's job in the morning. For that, I generally had to use the manager's network account. One night while doing my lists, I logged into the manager's account and email to do my job. Then I saw an email with my name in the subject line. I know it's not nice to snoop, but of course I read it. Turns out the new owner wanted to get rid of me. I still had my old employee contract with the bonuses for foreign language abilities and was allowed by my contract to pick and choose shifts. I can only assume these privileges are what made the new owner hate me. No idea if he had other reasons, because to be honest, these seem very weak to me. But he couldn't fire me without cause. On top of that, I would be owed severance if fired. And generally, there were not enough bodies in the shift rotation without me. Though the new owner didn't seem to understand that point, as the emails told me. I looked for more emails concerning me and found them. There was an email chain between some of the employees, the manager, and the new owner. I was of course not CC'd, as I was the hated topic. The employees didn't like me hogging the night shifts, because those paid better, and for every night you worked you got paid the night bonus. The manager was the only one rather neutral on the matter, and just curbed their enthusiasm to get rid of me, as they needed me to be fully staffed. The new owner and my colleagues actively conspired to make a hostile work environment, so I would quit of my own volition. I was furious. I thought about a variety of reactions, from egging their cars to burning down the hotel, but I settled on a less crazy method of revenge. I called my uncle at 2 a.m. asking for advice. My uncle is a lawyer, so for sake of proof, I forwarded myself all the emails. I made photos, printed them out, made copies, and filmed the whole deal just to be sure. If this had been just talk, there would be no grounds to do anything. My uncle told me to sit tight and see if things got worse, or if it was just bluster, and so I gave it a few days, and things did take a turn. Snide remarks about my looks, clothing, and so on were only the tip of the iceberg. Some of the colleagues were just as professional as before, but the conspirators always left extra work for me, or pawned off SH duties they normally had to do on me. I always kept a spare shirt and suit at work, just to have a change, which suddenly disappeared. One guy even started to threaten me with violence, but I kept clenching my butt cheeks. I would not give them the satisfaction of saving on the severance or giving in. I am a big boy after all. I did, however, stop doing any extra work I was not obligated to do, which in the end was the reason they used to fire me. They still had to pay me severance. The next day, my uncle, with bundled proof of the email and all documented harassment by my colleagues, served the hotel my lawsuit. It started with wrongful termination and ended with harassment. Reportedly, the manager went white as a sheet when he realized where the emails must have come from. The new owner had been on vacation and had to cancel his expensive vacation in France to deal with this. Their counsel advised them to settle. So I accepted my severance and a hefty bonus on top, enough money to last me until the end of university without work. But that was not all my revenge. I had gone after the new owner's money, but in the next step I went after the hotel. I had used all the spare time during night shifts alone to document every last violation of city, county, district, state, and federal law I could find. That went from minor things, like some harmless mold under the kitchen sink, to substantial violations, like modifications to the building. The building was under a limited form of historical protection by federal law, on the ground of being built and inhabited by somewhat important historical figures a few hundred years back. So every renovation or change in floor plans needs to be signed off on by a committee, which can take ages. There's also a grant paid to the new owner by the government for keeping the building intact as is. So with my uncle's help, I sent the documentation of every violation I could find to the corresponding agency. In 1 month, everything from health, building code, fire safety, to the finance and work police crawled over the hotel. In the end, it was the building and fire inspectors that shut the place down. The new owner had done substantial renovations to the top floor luxury apartments, which he used when he was in town. So the new owner had to pay back the grant, pay fines for unauthorized alterations to the building, endangering his guests because something wasn't built right, according to fire code, and had to close down shop until the building was fixed. I also tipped off a friend who had studied journalism and worked at a local paper. The paper ran an article on all the violations accumulated, which tanked the business once it had reopened, as the newspaper article had led to horrible reviews. In the end, to afford all these fines, repayments, and building costs, the new owner sold the hotel. As the cherry on top, all the a-holes who had tried to harass me out lost their job. Granted, the people who didn't do anything to me lost their jobs too, but didn't do anything to stand up for me or help me either. So I don't feel too much remorse. And the revenge cherry on top was that the new owner, whenever he was in town, used to bring home escorts, which in my country is not illegal, but he was married. It took some doing to get that information to the new owner's wife. But one of my former colleagues, who had quit before this had all happened, had her email, so I let her know what the new owner was up to when he was out of town. I don't know what exactly happened, but they did divorce in the end. Make of that what you will. I am not very vindictive, honestly, but in addition to the events above, I had a lot of SH happen in my personal life too, so I maybe took it up a notch too far. They just caught me in a bad time in my life. I was stressed out enough with 3 family members with medical problems, so I might have taken this very, very poorly. The next story is, promote me and lower my payment, enjoy having your business closed. A little backstory. I work with social media advertisement, SMA, and at least in my country it's a rather casual and informal field, with a lot of verbal contracts and clients that think that what it is you do is more of a hobby and don't take your skills too seriously. That said, it's stated by law that if you want to have 1 intern, you need to have 1 graduated worker to supervise them. If you want to have 2 interns, you need to have at least 6 graduated workers. This is necessary so companies don't pack their staff with underpaid and unprepared workers just to have higher margins. Anyway, on to the story. This happened in early 2015. I had just started the final year of the advertising college when I was offered an intern job on this company. Let's call them CIB, and they were a mixed company with programming and SMA. There were 3 partners that owned the company. They were all very friendly people, despite clearly not being outstanding professionals or great tutors. I took the job and started working 4 hours a day. The max an intern can do is 6. I had no contract or anything, but I didn't think it was a big deal because it's rather common. I worked with a graphic designer and a writer, all interns, which were amazing people and are my friends to this day. The work there is very fun. It's a very friendly working environment and we all became good friends, including my bosses, but we noticed we were not doing intern job. We were doing full-time graduated worker job, and also there was almost no mentoring, supervisor, and we kind of made the things in our way, since we were mostly better professionals than our bosses. Months go by and the company starts to grow. After 6 months, the team had doubled, now having 6 workers at the total. I need to add they were all students, and none of them were graduated. I got higher in the hierarchy of the company, even interviewing the new interns for their new jobs, and deciding who we were going to hire. It was the first time I felt that I might have a chance to grow in a company, so I didn't realize I was severely underpaid for what I was doing, since I loved my job, and it was such fun to work there. By the end of 2015, we were 8 workers total. Reminder, all interns, with no contract or taxes in our payment. My boss called me and my friend, let's call him LM, to a meeting and told us that we would be promoted. We were so happy. It was the first promotion of our lives. Finally, we would have the authority to make things the way we wanted and also be paid better. Oh, how wrong we were. We were so excited that we didn't even talk about money on that meeting. Turns out they were going to make us work full 8-hour days, double what we worked before. Nice, more time to do stuff we loved, but our payment only was going to be raised by 75%. So in practice, our hourly payment was decreased. I was confused and asked him about it, to which he replied to me, "Have an open mind, we're giving you the chance to grow with the company." I was not happy, but I had no immediate option, so I decided to stay. With this situation, the company started to go south, since all other interns were peeving off with our situation. Some of them quit, others got fired and replaced. The boss started accusing us of intentionally sabotaging the company, but the truth is that there was just no more mood for a good working environment. Eventually, my friend quit and so did I. When they paying us, our bosses said that we missed the chances of our lives and that we would struggle to get a new job. It's a small town, so basically he was saying he would be talking trash behind our back. Bad mistake. I began to plan my revenge. Since it was an intern job, all the time I worked there counted as an extra class and helped me graduate a little faster. Asked them for a signed contract stating how long I worked there and how many hours per day. They obviously couldn't say that I worked 8 hours because that was illegal, so the document said I worked 4 and 6 hours at different times. As soon as I have this document, I call my lawyer friend and ask him if we have enough to file a sue, to which he responded, "Bro, with this document, we have their A's." So then I file a huge lawsuit, claiming I worked as an intern doing full-time job, illegal, without being paid accordingly, also illegal, that I had no supervision, also illegal, and that none of my hours were registered with the college, very much illegal. Some of my friends were still working with the company when the subpoena arrived, so they told me what happened next. The lawsuit hit CIB like an effing SAR bomba. They started yelling at each other, trying to escape any guilt, and saying this is what happens when you give opportunity to people. But my revenge was not over. I also made a complaint to the Labor Department, stating that a lot of interns were working unsupervised at CIB. They got visited by an officer and got a huge fine. After that, the bosses sent everyone to work from home, and CIB no longer existed officially. No more Facebook, Instagram, website, or any way to say that the company was still running. The day of the trial arrived, and I had 2 witnesses with me, older coworkers that got fired. The trial begins and I start telling the judge every detail of the illegal operation they were running. My old boss responds saying I was lying, that I never worked there for more than 4 hours a day, and that I always was supervised. The judge just couldn't believe what he was saying. She, the judge, just lifted a paper and says, "Well, in this paper that you signed, it says that he worked 4 hours per day, and then 6 hours per day. Is that a lie?" My boss's face turned pale, and then he didn't say anything for the rest of the trial. His lawyer was almost crying in desperation. The judge even said that the witnesses were not necessary for her to make her decision. Results of the vengeance. I got 15 months worth of salary, and the company was ordered to be shut down immediately. All my friends got similar deals, and 2 of my bosses moved to different cities because no company was willing to work with them anymore. The other boss just opened a smartphone fix shop and never worked with anything similar ever again. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.